Thursday was episode 8, the 2 p.m. hour of the Pitt. As an outpatient derm PA, I don't pretend to have any expertise on managing the emergencies that come through that door. But lo and behold, a rash was featured on this episode. And I don't like how it went, but it also went exactly how I often see it. The ED gets rashes wrong all the time. Stop right there. Delete that paragraph you're typing. I am biased to say this because I don't see all the rashes that they do get right. Those don't come in for follow-ups. I do, however, see the ones they get wrong. And throwing steroids at rashes is one of the most common problems I see. Steroids are an amazing tool, but they are a chainsaw. If they aren't aimed at the right target, then there is an even worse mess on our hands. So many must-rule outs would have been made worse or not improved with the steroids they gave him. What we know: the itchy, painful rash started suddenly, less than 24 hours before. He says, "I don't take medicine." But people, especially those stressed out by such an awful rash, often forget things like supplements or recent antibiotics. They didn't ask him about his immune status or health history, and we know there's no e-chart to look this up in. Docs thought of bullous pemphigoid, which is typically only in the elderly, and usually itches or hives for quite some time before it blisters, but it does look a lot like that patient's rash. Autoimmune severe pruritus, this one was way out of left field. Maybe Javati should go into derm. Pemphigus vulgaris, which Eva Whitaker mentions a death rate over 90% if left untreated. This number is a little blown up because back before steroids, people would pass from it being too painful to swallow, and they would just fail to thrive. These days, it would be more likely from infections from that compromised skin. Usually, pemphigus vulgaris blisters are already popped by the time we see them because they're so fragile. But since this is less than 24 hours onset, I'll give that a pass. They mentioned checking for mucosal involvement in the mouth, Nikolsky sign, which is basically when you push on the skin and it makes a blister to pop up, which is great, and it would have taken them 30 seconds to do this. But instead, we're led to believe they skipped this exam and went straight to present. Robbie should have hated that, but Joy didn't give him time to find out before revealing her diagnosis: phytophotodermatitis.
Wow.
I had to look it up after they talked about juicing 3 gallons of lime juice because that would have taken 400 limes and hours to do. There must have been a mist for it to have affected his face the way it did. We usually treat this with topical steroids because it typically only covers like a little bit of someone. So systemic steroids are fine here, but definitely more than 1 day of treatment. Probably closer to 2 weeks. But do we need to watch his sugar, his blood pressure? I don't know because we don't have a health history. I'm really surprised though that the students didn't say SJS or 10 because of the more than 30% body involvement, especially with how symmetrical the rash was and its involvement around his eyes. I'll give it that he was way too healthy appearing and the rash was the wrong color, and we don't know if he was on any antibiotics that he could have forgotten about, but that is a life-threatening diagnosis if it's not caught. Bullous impetigo was my thought when he had that crusting around his mouth. That could also be from allergic contact dermatitis, and you can develop that to something that you get exposed to all the time. It does not have to be something new to be allergic to it. Disseminated zoster is also another don't miss list item. And both it and bullous impetigo have a high mortality rate in adults, and treatment is not steroids. A great teaching moment here could have been focused on where to biopsy, because that is really tricky with blister rashes, because we need 2 biopsies. One of the involved skin, but also one from adjacent skin to see what is happening before the blister forms. I feel like these 2 might have used that to show off their knowledge and get another procedure, however minor, under their belt. Also, viral culture, labs, to round everything out. Now, he wasn't toxic, so all of this could have been taken care of by somebody like me, but the wait times are months out, and I'll be curious to see if he bounces back way worse off than when he showed up. But all in all, love the episode.